Hey Knights! So this is the next 3 chapters for the Traveler's Wish. So chapter 25. Immediately, I recognized the song. It was Sway by Michael Bublé. The side of my mouth twitched into its usual mischievous smile. I cautiously placed my hand into his. My ring caught the light and glistened. He noticed and ran his thumb over the giant green emerald-looking gem. A chill went up my spine for some unknown reason. I got goosebumps. He noticed, and he cocked a grin to match my own. He jerked me towards him, putting his hand on my back, pulling me much closer than the distance I had danced before with his brother and father. I smiled, raising my eyebrows. He remained silent, that sarcastic, arrogant smile plastered to his face, like a magician with the perfect trick up his sleeve. Just as I was about to start leading him, he did something that completely took me by surprise. He stepped towards me with his right foot. Instinctively, I stepped back with my left. Again, he did it with his left. Wait, there's no way. Could he know? No, never in a million years. Then he did it. Another step, then a quick double step to his right. A perfect basic tango step. Raphael just led me into a basic tango. Raphael, sarcasm king, anger management, beat you up, ask questions later guy. My jaw hit the floor. He noticed my surprise and seemed to enjoy it. Finally, I left you speechless, he laughed quietly, like a flower bending in the breeze. Then he became silent again. I reversed the tango step, walking towards him, hoping to throw him off guard. Bend with me, sway with ease. He realized instantly, and perfectly in rhythm, followed my footwork. His bright green eyes seemed to glow as he basked in my utter shot, they held mine the whole time. When you dance, you have a way with me. Unlike with Donatello, who constantly stared at his feet in concentration, or Master Splinter, who towered over me, his face a good 1.5 feet above mine. No, Raphael didn't break eye contact, sure of himself. Typical. Well, the tango is a very intimate dance. Stay with me. Even though he could only do the basic routines and steps, he held me very, very close. Sway with me. He performed them with ease, cockily and confidently as ever. Without stopping our dancing that carried us from one end of the room to the other, I asked curiously, I thought you said you couldn't dance. Other dancers may be on the floor. He smiled as he twirled me around. What I said was that I didn't dance. Dear, but my eyes will see only you. Not that I didn't know how. He winked. Raphael just winked at me. Well, this day just gets better and better, and odder and odder. This, Raphael, is completely different from the classic. I don't know what to expect next. Flying monkeys, Master Splinter plays the banjo. But I have to admit, dancing looked good on Raphael. It was sexy, great hip action, flawless rhythm, hot, in a weird turtle way. Man, what is going on with me? Maybe that brick hit me harder in the head than I thought. But how? Was all I could manage to ask. Still stunned at this plot twist. He chuckled, that signature trademark Brooklyn chuckle of his. Whatever parallel, which year, what version, doesn't matter. I'd recognize it anywhere. Only you have that magic technique. He pushed me at an arm's length, and I followed with a sassy swing kick step back towards him. Sometimes at night I have trouble sleeping, so I go to the living room to watch some television. We only get about 3 channels down here, and oddly between 2 and 5 in the morning, one of them only shows certain reruns of Dancing with the Stars. And I don't know, I guess I memorized the pattern in my head. Memorizing the patterns in my head helps lull me to sleep, or something like that. Never thought it'd come in handy, though, he joked as he dipped me slightly to the side, bringing me up inches away from his face. When we sway, I go weak. Wow, I would have never taken Raphael for a Dancing with the Stars kind of guy. I wonder if he argues with the judge's decision like I do. Though I can't quite picture sitting there, twirling a sigh in his hands, yelling at the screen, going, why did you only give her 9? That was awful. She only deserved a 6. I giggled at the thought. What's so funny? He tensed, looking ready to go into defensive mode at a moment's notice. Nah, nothing. I'm just surprised you're telling me all this, I answered. I felt his shoulder relax beneath my hands. Well, I figured you knew all this stuff anyways, with, you being all powerful and all that. He did lightheartedly, as if mocking my power. Actually, no, this is new, I admitted. But a good new. I like it. I smiled, slightly blushing. But remember, he warned, one word of my cha-cha-ing abilities to my brothers, and I'll pulverize me, crush me, turn my bones to dust. Yeah, I know the drill. I finished for him. He smiled, a genuine one, though. He twisted me around in a move that ended up with my back pressed against his chest plate and my arms crossed across my body, connecting my hand with his. But besides all that hocus-pocus stuff, he said before leaning in real close and whispering something in my ear that sent shivers down my spine. I trust you, Roxy. I shuddered and leaned against him for only just a split second. It wasn't the brick or my head. First off, Trush and Raphael don't exactly go together. I don't think I've ever heard this version of him say that, and very, very rarely on any of the other parallel versions of him. Maybe once to Casey Jones, his on and off sidekick best friend, and maybe once to Leonardo before a big battle. Then there is the other thing. He called me Roxy. No one has ever called me that since my brother. I felt a pang in my heart at the thought of my brother. Focus, Roxanne, head back in the game, please. I felt the music coming to a close. With little effort, he dipped me to the side and swung my arch top half down and around, coming back up to meet him just in time for the final strum in the music. Our ending positions ended up with my hands around his neck and his around my waist. That was the final track on the CD. Silence came from the speakers. Without thinking, I slid my hand slowly down his arm, finally feeling just how muscular they were. My blue eyes not leaving his bright green ones. His arms. They weren't long and lanky like Donatello's, or simply well-toned like Leonardo's or Michelangelo's. No, this turtle was the one, built like a Sherman tank. I realized what I was doing by the time I reached his elbow, and quickly pulled away. His arms dropped from my side. Well, you're an idiot. Seriously, Roxanne. You better have Donnie check your head. You got hit harder than you think. I scolded myself in my head. He had an awkward look on his face as well. Pizza? I asked, trying to change the subject. Pizza, he smiled. Chapter 26. During lunch, April didn't say much and didn't stay very long, before heading back up topside for some quality father-daughter time with her dad. He's been insisting they do a lot ever since the turtles freed him from Kerrang captivity. Soon it was time to go do some patrolling, as Donatello had decoded a message on the Kerrang communicator he found and fixed up so he could try and listen in on their plans. And apparently something was going down tonight at the Eastman warehouse down on Laird Boulevard. When he told me that, I broke down laughing. Eastman and Laird, the names of the men who, in my world, invented the Ninja Turtles. They wrote the original comic book. Coincidence? I think not. After transforming and arming myself, this time with a pair of Michelangelo's nunchucks, or nunchucks as they're called, Nunchaku, or nunchucks as they are called, the boys led me down the tunnel to the New York sewer system, to a place in another abandoned subway tunnel where Donatello parks, the Shellraiser. Wow, it's even cooler in person, I told them in awe. The Shellraiser, made by Donatello and named by Michelangelo, an old subway caboose that Donnie turned into basically an armored car, bulletproof and can drive through the tracks and the streets. Badass. Still, not as cool as the party wagon the classic Turtles used to get around in. Okay, wait. Maybe this is a little cooler, but I still like the party wagon better. Call me classic. Donnie stood there, happy in my awe of his glorious creation. Leonardo slid the door open and stepped in, followed by Raphael. Your carriage awaits, my lady. Michelangelo performed a sweeping bow as he held the door open for me. Ladies first, said Donatello, stepping back to allow me in first. You know, I think that saying was only invented so dudes could check out our asses as we walk by, I joked, hopping in. Well, your shell is kind of obstructing the view, laughed Mikey from behind me. Leo cranked the engine, and everyone took up their battle stations. Leonardo drove, Raphael sat at the firing station, ready to fire rapidly propelled manhole covers at any attacking force. Michelangelo navigated, and Donatello operated the radar. So I just sat in the back, like a rich girl in a limo. We parked the Shellraiser about 6 blocks away from the warehouse in a dark alley between two very old, run-down, empty buildings. The sun had just set over the city that never sleeps. Man, New York ceases to amaze me with how many old, run-down, abandoned buildings there are. I stepped outside and felt the cool night's breeze whip against my leathery green skin. It felt amazing to be outside after spending days underground. We slipped out of the vehicle and into the shadows. I think I remember Master Splinter saying something about the shadows being a ninja's best friend. Something like that. Surprisingly, there were only 2 Kerrang guards posted outside the door. Kerrang robots, they reminded me of Mr. Smith from The Matrix, identical down to the spiffy tight black suit they wore. They even sound exactly alike, and all are named Kerrang. The humanoid robot is controlled by the small pink brain-looking alien who is encased in the stomach area of the robot. I guess they weren't expecting any trouble, because how weakly guarded the entrance was. No matter, we easily slid past them and scaled the side of the building to the roof. In perfect silence, we made it to the window on the roof. Leonardo peeked down. It looks like they are storing mutagen here. Kerrang is here. Karari is here. She must be up to something with the Kerrang. He explained to us as we couldn't see down and had our backs pressed against the wall of the roof. Wait, yes, the Kerrang are loading a couple of cases into what looks like the back of the van, he continued. How many foot ninja? Asked Michelangelo. Negatory and the foot ninja. I think she's here alone. I couldn't help but catch the smile that Leonardo was trying to force down as he said that. Crushing on the enemy. Tisk-tisk-Leo. But what would Shredder want with mutagen? Donnie asked, even though he knew none of us had any answer to that. Bebop and Rocksteady. I laughed quietly to myself, but I didn't think anyone heard me. What did you say? Leo asked me. Oh, nothing. I was just thinking of another, much cooler version of the Shredder. Shredder? Cool? Donatello gave me a puzzled look. You'd be surprised, I laughed quietly, as not to be heard by the 30 Kerrang below. But that version of Shredder was always trying to get his hands on more mutagen, to create a mutant army. Maybe old habits die hard, I explained. I guess that could make sense, agreed Donatello. So Leonardo, ready to show your lady a good time? Raphael teased. Leonardo looked annoyed for a second, but then quickly recovered. Roxanne, be careful not to get touched by any of the mutagen. It doesn't affect us because we're already muted, but it might affect you because you're human. Then he paused. Well, humanish, anyway. Thanks for the concern, Leo, but I highly doubt it will do anything to me in this form, I said in matter-of-fact tone. Still, better safe than sorry. Just be careful, warned Raphael. Concern. Was that concern for my well-being? Leo, let's crash this party, said Raphael with his usual pre-battle excitement. There is nothing Raphael loves more than taking down baddies. Booyaka. Not that shit again. I put my hand over Michelangelo's mouth, silencing his battle cry. It's cowabunga, I said sternly. What? He asked confused. Just promise me while I'm here you will say cowabunga, okay? I don't know where you came up with that bullshit booyakasha, but that's not what you're supposed to say. It's cowabunga. It's always been cowabunga. It'd mean the world to me if you said that, at least while I'm here. I pleaded with him. Okay. Then he smiled. That sweet but mischievous smile that only Michelangelo could pull off. Anything for you, Roxanne. I smiled bigger than I thought even possible. We all readied ourselves for the jump. He took a deep breath. Then, with every ounce of enthusiasm he possessed, he let out his famous signature battle cry. Something that had millions of kids yelling it every time they jumped off something, or were about to perform some stunt that would probably get them yelled at by their mom later. Cowabunga. I admit, I like that one. That's my favorite one too. But then again, I've watched the movies. Okay, chapter 27. We broke through the glass. It was about a 20-foot drop, with our thick, much sturdier than human legs could absorb no problem. I closed my eyes and tensed as we leaped to the floor. Ever since my fall from the trapeze, I still hate the feeling of that falling sensation. We landed, much to the surprise of the Kerrang and Karari. Glass rained down beside us. I knew we could just have opened the window and not needed to break through the glass skylight part of the roof, but I think Raphael just wanted to make an entrance. Hi, honey, I'm home, stated Leonardo, sending a smirk in Karari's direction. The ones who are known as the turtles have discovered what is known as the warehouse. Kerrang terminates the ones who are doing what is known as intruding, yelled one Kerrang robot, while holding some sort of scanner, and had a white lab coat over its otherwise identical black suit. Man, someone needs to get these guys a speech therapist. Turtles, I stated with my best friend Leonardo's impression. Fight with honor, I quoted Leonardo's classic battle cry. Raphael gave me a look that clearly said, did you really just say that? We charged. I swear I saw Corelli smile as she drew her sword and headed straight for Leonardo. Yeah, I noticed that. I twirled the nunchaku as hard as I can, knocked the head of a incoming Kerrang clean off. The creepy little pink brain, that thing, opened the stomach compartment and crawled away for safety. Backflip, strike another Kerrang down. Man, I'm on fire. Bruce Lee got nothing on me. All of a sudden, a beeping sound went off, and from behind me, I heard Kerrang's robotic voice call out, "The female, bring it to Kerrang." Kerrang must perform what is known as interrogation. It was the Kerrang in the lab coat. 4 Kerrang grabbed me from behind. I quickly slipped under and out from their cold hands. So Kerrang wants to interrogate me. Wonder what it could want. Curiosity got the best of me. I backflipped over their heads and ran over to a tall, dark, and robotic. He put his hands up to defend himself. I stepped closer till I was about 3 feet away from it. I stopped, placed my hands on my hips, and cocked my sideways smile. If you wanted to ask me out, all I had to do was ask, I joked. This Kerrang was clearly a scientist, not a fighter. I sensed movement behind me. It was 2 Kerrang rushing towards to attack me. The Kerrang in the lab coat held up its hand, signaling them to stop. You are clearly not from what known as this dimension, it said while holding its scanner at me. Oh, that's right. Kerrang are from another dimension. Maybe that's just another parallel. I'm the one known as Kerrang. Tell Kerrang how one not from this dimension can bear what is known as a resemblance to those called the turtles, and how it is you came to be on this planet of Earth. It continued, reading what its scanner said about me. Actually, I changed back into human form and crossed my arms. I am the one known as the Traveler, and you and your little friends here are going to be known as the ones who had what is known as an ass kicked by one known as the Traveler. His robotic face emotionless, but I bet the little pink slug inside it picked its jaw up off from the floor. His scanner went crazy with beeps, and he moved it till it was a direct line with my right hand. The ring. Power source, it cried. What, this? I slid the ring off my finger. The scanner stopped beeping. I held it up. Every girl needs a few accessories. I slid it back on my finger. Then something strange happened. The second the ring slid back onto my finger, the beeping noise went off again. I pulled it back off, and the scanner silenced. Weird, I said as I slid it back on and changed back into mutant turtle. I'm going to have to ask the goddess about this later. Well, nice talking to you. Gotta run. I flipped back into the fight. Soon, Donnie and I were fighting back to back, with Kerrang closing in on us. We're surrounded, said Donnie, with just a hint of worry in his voice, as he whacked a Kerrang with his bow staff. Surrounded? I repeated to him. The corner of my mouth twitched into a smile as my grip tightened around the nunchaku. Good, that means we can attack in every direction, I joked. I looked over and saw Mikey and Raph were having the same problem. We gotta get everyone together and work this as a team, because scattered like this, we're too vulnerable, Donatello told me. Hold them off till I'll get your brothers. Hold them off? Hold them off, she tells me. Remember, I'm the one with the wooden stick, he shouted at me as I slipped away from his side. I held off the Kerrang long enough for Raphael and Michelangelo to join Donatello. Then I slipped out from under the attacking humanoid robots and up to where Leonardo and Karai were battling it out. Both in worlds with their weapons. Time out, I said, slipping my nunchaku into my belt and making a T-shape with my hands. They stopped. Your brothers really need you, Leo. Go, I've got this. He looked at Karari and sighed before rushing off to help his brothers. I didn't draw my weapons. I decided to let her make the first move. She didn't. Instead, she sheathed her blade back into its holder. Roxanne, right? She questioned, her posture relaxed. So she wants to play it that way. I transformed back into my plain, human, regular Roxanne. Yeah, it's Roxanne. Her eyes widened at the sight of me going from a giant, muscular shellback into a brown-haired, 16-year-old girl. That is a pretty cool thing you do, she told me. I looked closer at her. She'd taken out the many piercings in her ears. Her makeup was way more normal, and her hair. The nasty black and blonde mess that frankly reminded me of a skunk had been dyed black back to its natural rich black color. Karari was actually very pretty. I'm liking the new do, I complimented her sincerely. She smiled and ran her hand through her short black hair. Well, I kind of took that lesbian joke pretty seriously. So actually, I've got you to thank for this. You know what, Karari? Contrary to popular belief, I actually like you very much. You're one of my favorite beings here in this world, I said with just a hint of sarcasm in my voice. Really? How could you? You don't even know me, she asked, raising her eyebrow. That's where you're wrong, Karari, I stated. I noticed that Michelangelo was on top of a few crates about 10 feet above us, fending off 2 Kering. I've seen all the good you've done, past, present, in this life and others. All the lives you've saved. Sure, you may have been raised evil, but I know deep down evil isn't your core. You're just trying to do the best for your father. You're a good person, Karari, and someday soon you're going to have to choose a side. I heard glass rattling, and the lid of a crate fell down about 6 feet away from us, but I continued. Your title may be villainous, but we both know that you fight and live with honor, and that it is at the core of your being. Right as I finished speaking, a vial of the mutagen fell out of a crate and broke against the edge of the top of another crate, one that was right above Karari's head. A small splash of the green glue slid off of the wooden crate and was headed straight for Karari. Without thinking, I reached forward, grabbed her shoulders, and pulled her out of the way. The mutagen missed her but a little of it splashed onto my right hand and onto my ring. It burned. The green glowing substance burned my skin. I bent over in pain, trying to wipe it off on the floor. You saved me, Karari said quietly in shock. My ring glowed a bright lime color, and I began to transform back and forth uncontrollably, mutant, then human, then mutant again. The room began to spin. I fell forward in pain, but before I hit the ground, Karari caught me. Roxanne! Michelangelo cried, running up to me, followed by his brothers. What did you do to her? Raphael screamed at Karari with a deadly rage in his voice. It felt as though the mutagen had burned through my hand and was creeping its way up my arm till it felt like my whole body was coursing with it. She saved my life, said Karari, her voice still uncertain and full of disbelief. Get her out of here and taken care of. She handed me to Raphael. What about the Kering? Leonardo questioned her. Just worry about her. I'll handle these guys. My body quit transforming as I felt myself pass out. Okay, so that was the next 3 chapters of The Traveler's Wish. Yep. Alrighty. Peace out, Knights.